It's brunch with Brian. Hey, welcome to another Friday. It's Friday, so here we are in formal dining room, formal dining room Friday. I wanted to talk today about pre-foreclosures. We talked about that last week. I know people wanted to hear more about that. So how do you work a pre-foreclosure market? Okay, now you can have it's also National True Love Forever Day. I have to say that because I have a true love forever in my life. My lovely wife, Lynette. We've been married 39 years. It's also National Tell a Joke Day. So think of a good joke that you can tell today. All right. So, but talking about pre-foreclosures, there is a list when a person starts to get late on their house. The mortgage company, the lender, has to actually publish public notice that they are intending to foreclose on this property. Okay, so this is publicly available information. In some states, it's called an NOD list, notice of default. And this is, so as soon as a person is, usually this happens at about 3 months late on a mortgage, and then the lender will file a notice of default. Now, these are published somewhere. In a lot of areas, they're published in a newspaper. They're published in other areas. You can call title companies. You need a good title company anyway. So you should, title company reps are awesome. I'll tell you, they will give you legal advice. Basically, you can ask them all kind of questions, and they'll get on the phone with you. Whereas sometimes it's hard to get your attorney or any attorney on the phone to ask a question. You call a title company rep, especially someone who you want to work with and who you want to have closing your deals, and you develop a relationship, and that's very important. Okay, so that's you get your notice of defaults, or there's another thing called lis pendens. It's LIS and then another word PENDENS. What does that mean? It means that there's pending litigation against this property, meaning they're late and the foreclosure process is starting. So these are pre-foreclosure properties. You find the NOD list or the lis pendens list, and then you figure out how do you market to this list. Okay, you can do mailers, you can send postcards, you could send yellow letters to this list. You can also call the list. Now you need to get their phone numbers. Sometimes you can actually look people's phone numbers up by looking up their address on a White Pages reverse lookup. I don't know if you knew that was available, but sometimes you can look up an address and it'll track back to who owns the property and give you a phone number you can try. Or there's a lot of skip trace services out there. We have skip tracing built into our CRM, which I've told you guys before. We use a whitelisted version of RealFlow, and it charges us 10 cents for a skip trace. So to get someone's email and phone number, it's 10 cents. So if you pull a list of 50 of the best NOD or lis pendens properties in your area, for $5, basically 10 cents each, you could have all their phone numbers and their emails. So you may want to do because this is not an expensive mailing campaign. This is not 2,000 people. Okay, this is maybe, it depends on your area, but this might be a couple hundred mailings, or maybe even less, or a few hundred. It's in that ballpark. So it's probably worth sending a mailer and then following up and saying, hey, I sent you a mailer. Okay, it just gives you something to say when you call. Now, when you call these people the first time, you can either you can mention the mailer, but you're using the script. If the property is not for sale, and you're going to look it up on Zillow, if it's not listed on Zillow, then it's not for sale. So what script do you use when you call? Use the off-market seller opening call script. Okay, that is in your what to say and what to do system in your forms folder. So use the off-market seller opening call script to call them. And don't bring up the information. Don't say, oh, I know you're late on the mortgage. Okay, just go through it. Go through the off-market property call, just like it says in the script. And then when it gets to mortgage, here's what I want you to say. I want you to say, I do have some information that I got off public records that shows you might be a little bit behind on the payments. I do have some information in front of me that I got off public records that shows you might be a couple payments late or a little bit late on the mortgage. Okay, and then don't accuse them, but just say you've got this information. See what they say, and then ask them, well, when was the last time you made a payment? Okay, when was the last? Do you know when the last time was that you made a payment? Some of these people are really behind. Okay, sometimes the bank does not act quickly. Sometimes people will be a year or two behind. Okay, now what's your best approach? Let's say you talk to somebody like this. Yes, they want to sell their house. You agree to buy it. Maybe you can agree to buy it for what they owe on it. You can say, hey, will you sell me the house for what you owe on it? And a lot of times they're pretty motivated, so they might give you some good free equity. So, but it's always nice to give them some money, even if they'll sell it to you for what they owe on it. We always try to throw them a couple $1,000s, at least moving money. Now, what else? What do you do once you get this property under contract? Then you obviously you start off with that opening call. If things look good, if they look like they're open to monthly payments, then you go into the seller financing closing call script. And then if they say yes, and you go over there, you do the deal meeting script and you sign the deal. Okay, so now you own this property. Now what do? Okay, well, you catch up the mortgage. In most cases, we catch up the mortgage. Unless they owe more than the house is worth and they're really behind on the mortgage, and the house is in really bad shape, that's the only time we'll try to go for a short sale. Guys, short sales are long and drawn out and frustrating and time intensive, and a lot of them don't even work out. So, and you have to come up with cash at the end. So there's a lot of reasons I don't even like short sales. They can be great deals, don't get me wrong, but a lot better strategy that will get money flowing right away is just catching up the mortgage and taking over the property subject to. So that's our usual strategy on a pre-foreclosure property. We'll buy it from the seller, hopefully for what they owe on it. We'll give them a couple thousand more. We'll give them a couple thousand. We'll catch up the mortgage. Sometimes that's going to be, $4,000 or $5,000 or more, but it's worth it because that's your whole down payment, closing costs and catching up the mortgage. Then you've got a great house, for forever, for 30 years or whatever's left on the mortgage. So that's our approach on pre-foreclosure properties. Again, you got to find them. You got to target some list. You got to call a title agent, call a title company by you and say, hey, can I get a list of pre-foreclosure properties? It would be better if you knew whether in your state there's NODs, notice of defaults, or Liz pendants. So do a little research. And then you can call them, can I get a Liz pendants list from you or an NOD list? And then I'm buying and selling properties in this area. Could I use you to close my deals? I'm a local investor. Do you work with small local investors? Okay, so that's how to work your pre-foreclosure market, which can be a great market, and you can find very motivated sellers. And if you just have a few grand to catch up that mortgage, remember, you're going to get that back right away because you're going to sell on a lease purchase and you're going to get 10% down, maybe 15, 20,000 down. So whatever you paid to catch up the mortgage and paid for closing costs, basically you're reimbursed almost immediately. Jennifer, great to see you. And you were on super early today. I haven't seen you in a little while, so keep coming back, girl. All you guys, Noel and Kathy, you're always here. Buenos dias. Buenos dias today. Yes. TGI, yep. Thank God it's Friday. Hi, Isabel. Good to see you. Caleb. Starting my day off with some Miami Vice. I love that show. Man, I used to watch that show in LA, and I used to have to smoke a cigarette. Guys, they all smoke cigarettes on that show. So I would sit by the window where I could smoke, and I'd turn on my Miami Vice. This was before, this was back before the day of DVRs, and I'd sit and have my cigarette. I don't smoke anymore, but that brings me back. And I love that music, the theme song. Miami Vice was cool. Don Johnson and Philip Michael Thomas. That was a cool show. You're very cool in that show. A couple of leads from investor owners who have tenant buyers and who want to cash out versus wait out the sale. Who could I send deals like that to? Okay, well, so somebody has a lease purchase tenant buyer in there and wants to cash out. Obviously, the first approach is try to get that tenant buyer to cash out. And if they just are a long way away, it depends on what you've told that tenant buyer. If you want to cash out and you have a tenant buyer in there and you gave them 12 months of a lease option and the option expired, they are now a month by month tenant. Now, I hate to put people out of houses, and normally we tell them, hey, if you keep making the payments on time and if you take care of the property, we'll never put you out of this house. Okay. But remember, if you have a balloon payment on the seller financing, don't tell them that, because there may come a time when they have to qualify or move out so you can sell that house. So if this person wants to sell that house for cash, if they're not locked into a lease situation with their tenant buyer, they could even agree to give them part or all of their lease purchase option deposit back if they want to be a nice person, and sell the house for cash and just put it on the market and sell it for cash. So that's one approach. Obviously, the best approach is to get that person qualified quickly if they still are interested in buying it, and see how fast, get them into some credit repair. Use a pretty good service I've used in the past is screenthetenant.com, screenthetenant.com. That's Paul Ritter's company. And he will give you an actual report and say, I think this person could be qualified in 0 to 6 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 to 12 months, 12 to 18 months, 18 to 24 months, whatever it is. So that will give you an indication of whether or not, you can get them qualified quickly. If you can't, you can sell for cash. Or if you want to keep that person in there are investors who will buy cash flow properties with tenants in them. There's a lot of people like that. Put the house on Zillow and say, perfect investment opportunity. Tenant already installed, and if it's a good rent, I would say what the rent is. Tenant already installed, paying $1,800 a month. Okay. But yes, if they're looking to cash out, you need a cash source. If you're going to a lender, mostly guys, now you can use us for your lender. We go through a national private lending company. Both Lynette and I are certified private money brokers. So if you're looking for money on a deal, but what can we do? We can do 80%. So we can do 80% on a rental loan, what they call a rental loan. So if you're buying a rental property, you still got to come up with 20%. Okay. Now, if you turn around and sell it on lease purchase and get a non-refundable option deposit, part of that back right away. But still, if you used us for a lender and got outside financing, you'd have to come up with 20% down. Okay. Kind of involved question there. Better than white pages, truepeoplesearch.com. Good one. Guys, write that down. Anytime you guys have a good resource, anytime you guys have a good resource to refer to other people, type it in the chat so we all get the advantage of it. So write that down, guys. You remember reverse lookup on white pages and truepeoplesearch.com. I used to use that one. I actually, that's a good one. We have the skip trace program now that we always use, so I don't need that anymore, but I do remember that we used to use that one before, and I do think that's a good one, truepeoplesearch.com. There's a lot of little skip trace programs that will sell you a batch of skip traces for, don't pay more than like 25 cents per skip trace, because there shouldn't be that expensive. Morning, if you drive for dollars, Deal Machine. I know Deal Machine has free skip tracing. So does, there's another program called SendFuse. If you're driving around, Deal Machine is this thing. I remember when Deal Machine first came out, the sexy thing about it was you could take a picture of a house and then all the information on the house would come up on your phone, and you could see everything about the house. Well, guess what? All you do is you put the address in, and it's pulling a title report, or it's accessing public records on that property. So it's no magic. It's not recognizing the house from the picture like I thought. So you're adding the address, and then it's telling you about the house. And like Tony says here, Deal Machine does have skip trace built into it, as does RealFlow and SendFuse as well. Love that show. Oh yeah, Miami Vice, Friday night at 8 p.m. I love DM, direct messaging. Don, what is that? It's through DM that I've gotten lease option to sell deals. Direct messaging? What am I missing here? Good morning. I've been calling pre-foreclosures all week and the phone numbers are disconnected. Okay, that happens. Sometimes these pre-foreclosures are already gone. So it depends on your list. Again, I mean, and a pre-foreclosure list can turn over quickly because those things go into foreclosure and get foreclosed on. So if you're looking at a pre-foreclosure list from, even a couple of months ago, it's going to be, you want it like as fresh as possible. And you will get disconnected numbers. And I will tell you that this is one of those lists that if you do driving for dollars, this is one of those ones where it's worth it to have have some yellow letters in your car that are already done, okay, but that are blank. And it just says, dear owner, dear property owner, or dear owner, and have them just have a blank envelope, okay, because these are drop-offs. So then if you got, let's say, 5 properties that you've been looking up that are pre-foreclosures, they all look good, you've tried to call them and you can't get through, they're all disconnected or whatever, then that's when you actually drop off at the yellow letter at their house and knock on the door. Okay, that's when it's worth it to do a door knock. Usually, guys, it's not worth it to go through some neighborhood door knocking on doors, but it's just zip code knocking. But if you have specific targeted addresses, it is worth it to go knocking on some doors of NODs or pre-foreclosure properties. Okay, that's that next step. Deal machine has come a long way. Yeah, that's a good. A dialer and free skip tracing. Yes. So that is another resource. PropStream, guys, they're all good and they all have good features. We've used PropStream before. PropStream's good. I haven't used PropStream for a while, so I'm assuming that they keep updating just like all these services. I'm assuming PropStream now has built-in skip tracing and lots of other bells and whistles and cool stuff. So most of these are good, guys. And yes, Dealio is the name of the whitelisted real flow version that we use. And it does marketing, it sends out mailers, it searches for properties, it scores all the properties using AI, it pulls lists. So it does all that stuff that you used to pay a list broker. Okay, good. Thank you, Sandra. Sandra or Sandra? You never know, right? Okay, Sandra, I hope that was helpful to you. All right, so guys, that was a good one. A lot of great information as always. So don't forget, it's True Love Forever Day. So if you are fortunate and blessed enough to be with your true love, show them extra love today and tell a joke. It's National Tell a Joke Day today. What be the pirate's favorite letter? Yeah, I'm sure you're saying R. You'd think it'd be R, but it'd actually be the C. R. Okay, that's a joke. Really funny, right? Okay, but that's a funny joke. Plus I get to do a pirate voice, so how can you beat that? So yeah, that's so there's a joke for you. Tell a joke to somebody today. See if you can get a laugh. Great advice. Thank you, Noel and Kathy. All right, guys, that's why I'm here. I'm here to give you great advice, put a smile on your face, and that's what we're doing now. We're going to put a smile on our face and do our affirmations. So I love pre-foreclosures. 3 times on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I love pre-foreclosures. I love pre-foreclosures. I love pre-foreclosures. Yes. All right. 3 deep breaths. Nice deep breath in. Always a big smile. Let it go. Okay. Another deep breath in. Big smile. Great. And let it go. Okay. One more. Excellent. And let it go. Guys, look, I got a new light here. If you can see, it's helping me on, it's got a little stand. And so now you can see what it would look like. See, it doesn't fill in as much. So this is a good one I got off at Amazon recently. So I would recommend when you're doing your video chats, getting a little light like this. This also attaches to the top of my computer, but I like to use the stand because then it's a little bit offset from the actual camera. So there's a little shadow across. It's not totally straight on. I try to not get it totally straight on, but a little light like that. I don't remember how much I paid for that, but it wasn't that much, 30 bucks maybe. So those help you do your video chats. Okay. So guys, awesome day today. Until I talk to you, have a great weekend. Let me know on Monday how you did. Let me know if you got some good NOD properties. And until I talk, yes, True Love Forever Day and jokes on me. Hey, did you laugh at that joke? I hope so. Okay, so guys, I will see you on Monday. Until then, keep expecting success, getting awesome training from the Wolf Couple, and taking action.